Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Like and subscribe.
Welcome to the Sit, Walk, Work podcast, a show about paying attention. My name is Dominic and I'm your host, and today is a guided meditation. And what you can expect is that the practice will open up with a brief recap, followed by the actual practice itself. If you find today's episode valuable, please share with your friends and family, and feel free to leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. The show will begin after the following chimes. So what you can expect is a non-movement practice, an opportunity to kind of rejuvenate, rest, and just slow down from the very active day I suspect most of us have been having. Whether that's physically or mentally, this space, this practice affords you the opportunity to kind of explore and let go a little bit if you need to. So taking a last moment or two to check and see if you need to make yourself any more comfortable for a final adjustment. If not, I invite you to close the eyes. And in closing the eyes, we kind of take this attention that's been moving up and out, and we start to draw it down and in. We start to bring it into the body, bring us back to the parts of ourselves that kind of get lost in the noise of the day. Focusing on whatever's in front of us, we often lose sight of the breath in the body. So that'll be our landscape that we begin to move into. Throughout this practice, I'll kind of guide your attention and your awareness towards a specific pointer, theme, object. Then I'll give you some space and time to explore and to be with that. Really seeing and remaining curious about the stuff that comes up through practice. Take a moment and consider what brought you in today. What motivated you, inspired you, actioned you to be right here in this community, in this group, here in Om Practice. Making time to slow down and go inwards. And as you consider what brought you here, consider what you might want out of this practice at this time. If you consider up front what the end looks like, we call that an intention. Just kind of starting with loosely knowing what it is that we would like to potentially explore or receive at the end of our practice. Maybe with your next breath, you let that intention dissolve so that you can be with the experience as it is. And I'd like for you to begin to feel the parts of your body that are kind of connected to the spaces that are supporting you. The floor, if you're lying on a yoga mat, chair, if you're kind of sitting in one of those, the bed, if you're lying down in that, you can feel that you're being held in some degree right now. Turning your awareness towards that sense of being held and supported and grounded. You might have your attention being tugged at. Ambient noise and sounds, or the way the body feels, just the general chatter of the mind. And as that comes up throughout practice, I invite you just to notice when you're aware of it. That simple act of realizing you're not where you intended to be. Becomes a tool that you can use to bring you back into your body and into your breath. And as you're resting here, feeling the weight, the heaviness, the lightness, the contrasting sensations of your moving breath, I want you to begin to follow that next inhale. Follow it in and down into the belly. Using the breath to help anchor you even further into the sense of feeling grounded and supported. And it's as if you're pulling your attention with your breath down and in. As it comes down and into the belly, it expands into the legs and into the arms, and you feel the cycle begin again. This sense of feeling grounded and supported is something that I'd like for you to hold as a felt sense, is what we call it, in the body, to know where this resides, to anchor back to this throughout your practice, so that if you find yourself mentally challenged or kind of met with any resistance along the way, you kind of have this anchor. That is this sense of being grounded. To direct your attention to. As we move through the journey of iRest, we start with this body that kind of holds consciousness and our breath and all of the subtle aspects of ourselves. And so we'll begin to scan the body and see what's present. Not so much trying to make a condition occur, but simply welcome what is there and what and how that ripples through the mind, through the breath. So lightly move your attention to the center of your pelvis, to this, what we call the ground of your being. And if you kind of hold your attention in that space, you can begin to slowly expand it out into the hips, down into the legs, to the center of the feet, and out through the toes. Scan is meant to just show you what the body is sensing, feeling from moment to moment. You can feel the natural weight of the legs, their heaviness. You can feel the texture of your clothing or your blankets against the tops of your feet. You might notice that there are areas that feel more prominent, but also notice the spaces that are harder to feel. Might be easy to feel your right thigh, but harder to find your right toe and your pinky toe. You might feel the energy move through the legs, the desire to fidget or move them may be present. Noticing with each pass of your attention how that affects the experience from you simply observing what is happening from moment to moment. Allowing your attention to begin to rise. So moving out of that ground of being, that supportedness of the lower half of your body, and raising your attention to the center of your chest, right into the heart space. starting with the attention localized here in the heart. Before letting that localized attention that you're holding in your heart space expand out through the chest, across the arms, down into the belly, through the back of the body, touching onto the lower back and the shoulders. This space, this ground of doing, this middle space between us that enables so much to get done for us throughout the day. But it also holds our most precious mediator, our heart. Here with the attention wide, you can move it from the fingertips through the arms into the shoulders, maybe down into the belly and across and up the other side. There's no wrong way to sense what's present here. You may notice your attention being pulled back into the lower half of the body, and that's fine. Each part of the practice builds on the next and supports your experience in the same way. Letting the arms be heavy and relaxed. Letting the shoulders soften in to the space supporting them. Allowing the attention to continue its journey upwards. Moving your attention to the space between the eyebrows. In yoga, we call that your third eye. As you concentrate the attention here, we start to move into the spaces that are a little more subtle, a little harder to notice sensations in these spaces. Moving the attention outwards from the center of the eyebrows, through the eyes, into the face and jaw, the mouth, the nose, the eyes, the ears, the neck. The cradling of the head by your pillow, the temperature of that, the texture of that. This space of seeing, the space where our goals, our visions, our dreams, where they start. Space between the ground of your being and the ground of your seeing is mediated by your heart in the middle. Deciding how much energy goes up or down. That's a lot of what you're doing in this practice. Observing, mediating your experience, being aware of what's happening in the body. And we've moved the awareness from pointed awareness to a little bit wider, and now we open the lens even further to be aware of your entire body as sensation. We loosen the labels and we just feel pressure, temperature, texture, rather than arms, legs, foot, toes, all the things. Let your just self feel the energetics as they move through your body. It's as if we took the initial kind of sense of groundedness and expanded it. all throughout the body. And you can feel now your pattern of natural breathing. Begin to let your awareness bring forth the breath. The movement held in this container, this space, stillness and groundedness that's been cultivated. You feel the rising and falling sensation of the breath, the push and pull. Can you be aware of the sense of lovingness that comes with each one of these breaths? Breath is the direct connection to your external environment. You take in from that environment and you give back to it. Seeing if you can be aware of the center of your breath and how it expands to its edges with each inhale. Before coming back to its center on the exhale. And begin to bring into your awareness the idea that the breath is moving from the center of your heart. This in and outflow of breath becomes a metaphor for giving and receiving. Love and compassion. Maybe even adding on a visualization of a white light radiating from the center of your heart with each inhale, encompassing you and everything around you. And then on the exhale, that energy finds its way back in to the center of your heart. And the process begins again. Contrasting this lightness, this loving breath moving in and out with this heavy, grounded, supported nature of the body. As you've been spending time here in your awareness, observing the changing nature of your practice, the awareness of that change has provided this steady sense of continuity, has almost acted as another anchor to grounding you in this moment. And as you've gotten an idea for your felt sense of your body and explored the loving nature of your breath, from those ingredients begins to create a sense of feeling in this moment that might be present. And our practice is of such that it can hold whatever feeling might be arising in this moment. So begin to shift your awareness to notice what I'd like to call the feeling tone of your practice. And this is where you can begin to be a little curious as you explore what is arising in the terms of feelings or even emotions in some cases. I ask you to notice how it reflects itself in your physical body, maybe in the form of a place, a location, a sensation. Does the feeling present with a color, a texture, or a shape? The breath and the body giving you the support to inquire into something as subtle as your feeling or emotions. And to be okay if nothing's there. You're simply in the moment with the breath, with the body. If something is arising, what might it want or need from you in this moment? If you let the question drop into your awareness, listen and feel for a response. And there's no experience that we undertake very often, at least, doesn't have some form of active thinking involved. Sometimes in this practice, that'll show up as a commentary running in the background. Maybe telling you what you should or shouldn't be experiencing. The thoughts of the practice are like the breeze of the wind. Kind of always there. Sometimes blowing a little harder than others. Again, to notice with your awareness the thoughts that have accompanied you for this practice. the same curiosity you inquired into your feelings. Notice how a thought reverberates into the breath and into the body, affects the general feeling tone of the moment, dissolves and finds its way again in a new form. Notice if your thoughts pulled you into the past or forward into the future instead of right here in this moment. Anchoring back into the body and breath to ground you. Just like the body had a continuum of sensations, so too does that idea exist within any parts of the practice that our awareness is focused on. And it's in our learning to navigate the highs and lows of our experience that we start to see the wholeness of our nature. And we build our confidence to be with the fullness of ourselves. Throughout this practice, you may have encountered moments of gratitude or joy. As with most things, they tend to pop up on their own organically. But in the way that we've kind of observed and watched things come and go throughout practice, we can choose to point our attention like we point our breath. or like we pointed our attention to feel our body, we can do that same thing with our patterns of thinking. So I'd like you to let your awareness begin to notice in the moment things of joy, gratitude, general well-being. And if that hasn't been as prevalent for you this practice, then I ask you to direct your thoughts towards inviting in moments and experiences throughout your life that reflect some of the most grateful and happy times you've experienced. And it's as if we are welcoming in and collecting that felt sense, that embodied sense of joy, goodness, kindness, and happiness. And we're letting ourselves feel it, not get lost in the memory of it. But let it come down from the mind through the heart and into the body. And it's fine here to let the imagery be big, let it be bright, let it be full of sensory details. To give your joy a space that has no boundaries. Much like you can become familiar with being grounded, supported. Over time in your practice, you can become familiar with connecting to the joy that exists within you, to the unconditional parts that are available. to one of the truest maxims of our nature, that there's a general desire for us to experience joy and happiness. And you want that for yourself and everyone you deeply care about. For a moment, let your awareness soften a little bit. Open up to whatever's naturally occurring in this moment. There's the awareness that has been with you, observing everything that has been a part of your practice today. But there's not only the awareness that observes, but there's the awareness that kind of holds all of the practice together. It's the space between the notes. It's the continuity from moment to moment. It is the steadiness that grounds you through the changing nature of your experience. It is simply the space of being. And as you sit with this open awareness, this space that simply allows things to come and go without them needing to be anything or any certain way, you come to know that there's space to hold all of this experience, and that there is somewhere for you to ground. And it gets a little noisy, and it doesn't seem like it's going to slow down. You can turn inwards to your grounded resource, the breath, the body. You can go down and in. You can bring your attention to the space of noticing your awareness. as we begin to bring practice to a wind down. Take a moment and reconnect to any intentions you started off practice with. Taking a chance to kind of retrace your steps and notice that sense of groundedness in the body, along with any new body sensations that have arisen. Notice how the breath is moving. The feeling tone that's present. The movement of the mind. The joy or the gratitude that rests within it all. As we begin to close practice, let your exit of practice still be a part of that practice. Notice what happens when the eyes open, how that affects the body and the breath and the sensation. As we draw your iris practice to a close, taking any time you need to be a little softer, a little tender with yourself. If you happen to doze off or you're kind of in the in-between space a little bit, let the slowness of the practice linger for a little. I want to thank you all for your time today, for showing up and honoring yourself and the commitment you made to be here. It's always an honor for me to get to guide you through practice, and today is no different. You're here for as little or as long as you need, but there's no extra practice that I have. So take your time.
That's the beauty of it.
Thank you for listening to today's episode.
I invite you to check out my Substack, where we are building a community of like-minded individuals to discuss all topics related to the idea of paying attention. I hope to see you there. But until then, with metta may you be well.